I look over because I'm sitting there with him and all the peanuts are all over the floor. And I look down and I said, oh, Grayson, you spilt your peanuts. And the cup is sitting right beside him. And I said, put them back in the cup. And he says, no, I don't want to. And I said, oh, okay. He says, you do it. And I said, well, you spilt it. So you pick it up and you put it in the cup. And he goes, no, I don't want to. And I said, well, Grayson, I said, Mimi really wants you to pick up your peanuts and put them back in the cup. Will you do that for Mimi? And he goes, okay, I do that. So my point is he's 3. So a 3-year-old can do things. Hey, mamas, welcome back to Wire Talk. I'm so excited that you're here today, and what a great topic we have. We are going to answer all your questions that are all about chores. Do we need to pay for them? Is it just part of being in the family? How do we instill this into our family unit and get it going as a mom? You guys have written in the questions, and I have the answers. So let's jump in and get started.
Well, hello, moms, and welcome to Wire Talk. We are so glad you're here, whether you found us on YouTube, Spotify, podcasts, however you found us. We are so glad you are here. And today we're going to be talking about chores, which I read that topic and I was like, I don't want to talk about chores.
She literally said that.
And she goes, why? I was like, because they're not fun. And I don't know. It's just something weird I didn't really want to talk about. But I think it's probably because I know I'm going to have to implement some things and I don't want to implement them.
You think I might step on your toes? Is that what it is?
Yeah. And you know that whole don't be lazy thing? Yeah. Maybe I don't need to be lazy. So I was thinking about this before we get started. You have a pair of glasses and I have a pair of glasses, but mine are for distance, which you used to have for distance. And yours are for close up. But I have to make sure that we're still in focus and you're looking beautiful on camera, which that's not very hard to do. But I'm just like, is that right? Is that good? And then yours are for you to read. But the older I'm getting, I know. Don't make fun of me. The older I'm getting, if I'm working on my computer and I don't have my glasses on, it starts to hurt my eyes.
Oh, Emily.
I know.
That's not good.
I'm just a baby.
You're just a baby.
That's Mom's favorite reel on Instagram.
Love that. Have y'all seen that? Have y'all seen the one with the dog? He's like, I identify as a dog, but my mom says, I'm just a baby.
And it's so funny.
I love it. Because it reminds me so much of our little dog. So I say, Barkley, you're just a baby.
And so it's just so funny because I think of it all the time, and then I say it. I'm like, oh, that reminds me of Barkley. And then every single time I see it, I think of Barkley's little face.
He's pretty darn cute.
He is.
I mean, come on.
Barkley.
Little Barkley booze.
Well, anyways, we could probably talk about Barkley for a long time. But before we dive in, Mom, I'm curious, how did you and Dad, like when all of the chore topics came up?
Yeah.
Did it look different from when you were little, from when Dad was little? How did you guys come up with a system for you? Like for our family, was it like this is how it is and it never changed? Or, I mean, I feel like it kind of ebbed and flowed a little bit the more we got older or whatever it was. So how did you guys make up a system? And did you they're like, okay, this we did really well with chores and this one not so much. But like, give us how did they evolve as we got older and as you and Dad became more seasoned parents?
I don't think your dad and I ever really put too much thought into it.
Okay.
To be quite honest. Like we didn't, I never remember doing chores growing up. Mm-hmm. And I don't think your dad ever did chores. I think both of our moms are from South Georgia. And I just think in South Georgia, when they were growing up anyways, the moms just did everything.
Right.
And I'll tell you, I remember my mom did everything for my dad. And I do mean everything. And I thought to myself, I am not going to do that whenever I get married. Greg always said, did something break whenever we got married? And I said, yeah, I broke a tradition of doing everything for my husband because I was just like, I'm not doing that. I don't want to be the one always getting his refill of his drinks and, getting his meal before I ever sat down for mine and the whole 9 yards. You know it's true. You remember Papa.
Yeah.
So anyways, when it came around to chores, neither one of us had like a big idea about it. I think it just sort of evolved as y'all grew up. I mean, I was doing everything. And then I started noticing this entitlement in my children.
We were angels.
I mean, absolutely. And I just thought,
not.
When they were sort of, get me this, do this, clean this, this is dirty. Can you have it ready in an hour for, laundry? And I'm like, no. And so then I was just like, all right, we got to rein this in. Like, I don't like the direction this train is going. And so I think most of the time I was like, Greg, we need to get a handle on this. And he was like, sure, okay. And so we sort of instilled the chores. I don't remember y'all doing chores, honestly, until Southfield Trail, which is our old house in Nichols Creek.
Yeah.
Do you remember chores before that age frame?
Honestly,
So we moved down here in 1999. So it would have been early 2000s. You would have been
we moved here when I was 7, 8.
Yeah.
7. I think the way that I remember chores, which, if you ask Kelsey, she could give you the exact dimensions and list of everybody because she remembers everything, but I don't remember a lot of things. But it was more of like a team effort type thing. Like,
right. Like on Saturdays.
Well, yeah, but not just Saturdays, but like, hey, mom's cleaning up the dishes. Emily, come empty the dishwasher. I don't want to. Well, that's not an option. You need to come empty the dishwasher. Taylor always took out the trash, like from the trash can, like from the trash to
kitchen
the
trash.
Yes. But I think the way I remember chores growing up was you have to make up your bed and you just need to help around the house. Like,
yeah.
And if mom asks you to do something, it's not, okay, in 5 minutes, it's, you best be getting going and listen and do what she's asked. And things that individualized chores was definitely like, you got to pick up your stuff, your shoes, things like that. But I think it was just, you were more like, we're a team and you need to help out the team. And if I'm asking you to do something, you need to help out and do it.
Right.
So,
and y'all were always really good about that. The things that we probably didn't do well was consistency.
Yeah.
We would start off like strong and y'all are going to get an allowance and then I would forget and then I'd owe each of you $50 and it just because I'd let so much time go by.
Yeah.
That I was like, all right, I'm paying this and then that's it.
That's it.
Like we're not doing this again. So, yeah, it sort of evolved.
And yeah.
It was loosey-goosey and it was definitely all hands on deck kind of thing.
And I think we all did a little bit of everything. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know if you remember, but at one point, like Kelsey would do the vacuuming, you would do the bathrooms, Taylor would do whatever, and then the next week we'd rotate it.
No, yeah, I do remember that. I was just about to say sometimes I would vacuum, sometimes Kelsey would vacuum, and then
we would
sometimes
rotate. The only one that didn't rotate was Abby because she was little and she cleaned the little.
She's just a baby.
She's just a baby. She cleaned the little windows around the front door.
Yes, she did,
and the back door. That was her job.
Yeah.
The Windex and the paper towels.
And we were like, that's such an easy job.
Yeah.
But
she was 3.
Because we didn't complain about any of it.
Never.
Just kidding. We did.
Angels.
Because we're kids.
That's right. And
but then
all
also
these mamas have kids too.
You also use chores sometimes as a punishment.
Well, 100%. We're going to get into that.
Oh, we are? Okay, good. Okay, then I won't.
Oh, you know what? Maybe that's another podcast. I've answered 4 weeks of podcast episodes, so I get them all confused.
I was just going to say.
But yes, I did use chores
like if we were like, we're so bored, you're like, all right, go pick some weeds. And we're like, oh, probably shouldn't have said that. Yeah. So I think it was good. Built character.
I mean, what's done is done.
Well, you ready to see what these sweet mamas are saying about?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I see Grayson's name.
You see Grayson's name. I told you last week that I had him in one of these podcasts.
Oh.
Yesterday, whenever I took him home for you to go get your nails done, he gave me a great example. And as I was filling this out last night, I thought, I'm using Grayson. I'm throwing him under the bus right here, right now.
Well, listen, he's cute, but he's a kid.
Is adorable.
He's so cute. But, all right, moving on. Question 1.
Okay.
What is the best age to start assigning chores to children, and how can parents tailor chore assignments to different age groups?
I just said I think you should start early, at an early age, meaning Grayson's 3. And so this is what brought it to mind yesterday. So yesterday he walked in the house. I told you he wanted a snack. He wanted, what do you guess that he wanted?
A snack?
But which one?
What's
his latest?
Oh, Dunkaroos?
No.
Oh, raisins? I don't know.
It's trail mix.
Oh, trail mix. He just wants to eat the M&Ms.
I know. The M&Ms and the raisins.
He calls the raisins ants.
And so he puts them in a little cup. We go in my bedroom, turn on a show because it was after 12.
Yeah.
It was like 12:30. So you said let him rest. So I let him rest. And anyways, I look over because I'm sitting there with him and all the peanuts are all over the floor. And I looked down and I said, oh, Grayson, you spilt your peanuts. And the cup is sitting right beside him. And I said, put them back in the cup. And he says, no, I don't want to.
Oh, I was about to say, yeah.
And I said, oh, okay. Well, honey, he says, you do it. And I said, well, you spilt it, so you pick it up and you put it in the cup. And he goes, no, I don't want to. And I said, well, Grayson, I said, Mimi really wants you to pick up your peanuts and put them back in the cup. Will you do that for Mimi? And he goes, okay, I do that. So my point is he's 3.
Mm-hmm.
So a 3-year-old can do things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you don't let the 3-year-old vacuum the whole house, obviously, but they can take their plate after they finish eating. They can put their dirty clothes at night in a hamper. They can pick up their toys whenever they've scattered them all over the house. They can do those things. And so that's what I feel like. Start them young. Even though you don't call it chores, like you said, there's just part of being in the family and all hands on deck. That's their part. Everybody does their part. They pull their weight.
Hey moms, producer Katie here. Did you know that Karen travels all over the country and even internationally, bringing her practical biblical teaching to groups of moms? We are booking now for 2024, and Karen would love to come teach her life-changing content on temperaments, discipline, and all things motherhood to the moms in your community. Karen books events that last an hour, a day, or even multi-day weekend conferences. And booking is way easier than you think. If you're part of an organization that has resources to host outside speakers, head to our website, birdsonawiremoms.com/invite, and fill out our simple form. In about a minute, you can send an inquiry to us, and I will personally get back to you to talk about having Karen bring her practical parenting wisdom to your town. Again, head to birdsonawiremoms.com/invite and fill out that inquiry form today. All right, let's get back to the show.
So what's the practical thing you could give to this mom who's going to start assigning chores in her house?
I would assign age-appropriate things for the children. Mm-hmm. So like I said, you don't give a 3-year-old the vacuum cleaner, and you don't give a 15-year-old just taking their plate and putting their dirty clothes in the hamper. Mm-hmm. You teach that 15-year-old how to turn on the washing machine and dryer and wash their clothes.
Mm-hmm. Lesson number 1.
Lesson number 1.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 2. I'm looking for creative ideas or ways to make chores more fun. Well, Mom, this is for you because you love fun.
Yes.
I'm yellow, and honestly, I hate it too. My husband is blue and loves a tidy house. I know I can have a better attitude about it. My kids will catch on and mimic my attitude. At least that's my hope. I would love any and all suggestions.
Well, this could have been me 15 years ago, honestly, 20 years ago. But what I did, sweet mama, is I put on music because I don't like chores either, and they get me down. It's no fun. Mm-hmm. It's keeping me from the fun.
Yes.
So I put on music, and you can testify to that. It would be loud in the house, and we'd all be doing our stuff. And, I put on music. That put me in a good mood. The other trick that I learned was to finish the chores in one room before I went to the next room. Mm-hmm. So if the kitchen is a mess, I would get it completely cleaned up before I would go to the den or the bathrooms or whatever.
That's a really helpful.
Yeah.
So practical tip for this mom that might rub off on her and her kids would be
crank up the music.
You know, and our music choice was always Shania Twain, I feel like.
Oh, get it, girl.
I mean, it was so much fun.
Then it turned into Michael Bublé and
I mean, it's just so, we love music in our house.
We do. We love a good playlist.
It's so great. I mean, it really can change your mood.
Oh, 100%.
Question 3, should we provide rewards or allowances for completing chores, or is the intrinsic value of learning responsibility enough?
Good question. I think it's a yes and a no. I don't think it's one or the other. Let me get my glasses on my head. I think it is part of the family culture that everybody pulls their weight, of course. But then there's also some bigger things that they could do to earn extra money.
Right.
You know, and y'all did that. Like, you know, Mom, I need to earn money for whatever. What can I do around the house? And I'd have given you big things like, all right, go clean out the garage, and I'd attach a price value to it. Or you could go pull weeds, or you could, you know, blow the leaves out of the yard and put them in a bag and bag them up and carry them away kind of thing. So different things like that. Or, you know, clean out the pantry, like the linen closet or the pantry. That would be a thing that I would pay y'all for.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, I paid Abby a lot of stuff like that because she was so good at organization.
Yeah, she is.
I'd be like, I will pay you because if she would get it organized, I can keep it organized. It's just my brain doesn't work like her brain.
I'm the same way. So
I'm like, I'll pay you all day long.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
You can get a couple of chores done that you don't want to do either.
Exactly.
So that's very helpful. I think that's a good point. It's not just a yes or a no.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a little bit of a both.
Yeah.
It doesn't all have to be black and white.
Be flexible, people.
Flexibility.
Yes.
Even if you can't touch your toes, you can be flexible on chores.
That's funny, Emily.
Thanks, guys.
We have eaten lunch. Can y'all tell? Emily and I, last podcast we did, we're getting like a little slow and a little, glossy-eyed. Now we're like, woo, we got some sugar in us.
Mm-hmm.
We're ready to go.
Yes. All right, question 4. And this is our last question. This is a fast one.
Wow.
I know. How do I strike a balance between teaching responsibility through chores and ensuring my kids have enough time for homework, extracurricular activities, and some downtime too?
I bet you money this mom is a blue. What do you think? I mean, they're trying to get it all done.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? I would have never.
I mean, I just read the question. I was like, strike. That's a big word.
I mean, that's awesome. Go mom. Go blue mama. I love it. Well, listen, this is the deal. You can have the majority of the chores due on Saturday. So then there's no homework that's due on Saturday. If they've got ball games or whatever, they can do it after that or before that, depending on when the ball game is. I know it sounds like a circus is going on upstairs,
No,
right?
I looked upstairs.
There's an orthodontist above us, and I think when they slide their chair around,
it gets a little loud.
We hear it. So
hopefully y'all don't hear it, but we do.
Yeah, we do. Emily and I do. But getting the chores done increases their downtime. So once they get it done, like if you remember, once Saturdays, we were usually done by 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then we'd all go get lunch and fun, and then y'all had the rest of the day by yourselves.
Right.
So, and the reason I say this as a blue mom is because she's thought of everything. Like she wants the kids to do the chores. She wants them to have time for homework, extracurricular activities, and some downtime. Like she's literally thought through every scenario.
Love it.
Which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
My brain just doesn't think that way. But when I read a question like this, I'm like, get it, girl. You're so blue. But anyways, I would try to schedule it as best you can, like on Saturdays, on the weekend. So the homework will get taken care of. The downtime, you can do it after you get the chores done, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So what's your practical tip for this sweet mom?
Just don't make it too difficult. Sometimes in a blues world, and I'm speaking from experience because my sweet husband is blue, he will make things too difficult. Let me give you a very practical example of this. The other day,
This is going to be a good story.
The other day, I was given a baby shower. And it was around Christmas time. And so I had this tray of candles, and I was putting greenery from the yard on the tray. And it was making it look really festive and pretty. And so I ran short. And so Greg said, "What can I do to help?" And I said, "If you could go out," I told him exactly which tree to go to.
You did.
I said, "If you'll go out to the mailbox, those big Leland cypress trees, if you'll cut the bottom branches on the other side of our driveway, so on the vacant lot side, there's a low-hanging branches there, if you'll just cut some of those branches, that would be very helpful." And he says, what did he say, Emily? Do you remember?
Oh, Mom, this is your story.
He said, "How long do the branches need to be?" And I lost it.
You did. She wasn't as kind and fruit-filled as she probably
I
should
just said, "Greg, you're making this way too difficult. Just go outside and cut a branch." And he was just like, "Okay."
He goes, "I'm always difficult." That's what he said. And then you were like, "Was he?" I'm like, "Well, you were a little harsh too." So
I mean, I'm just like, why do we have to make this so hard? I'm telling you which branch I'm telling you which tree it is. I'm telling you exactly where it's located in the yard. Just go cut a branch. Just go cut a branch, bring it back, and it'll be perfect.
it'll be perfect.
But in his mind, he had to know exactly, like I'll put something on. I don't know why this is turning into a yellow blue session, but I'll put something on like corn on the cob. And I'll say, "Keep an eye on the corn on the cob." And he goes, "Well, how long does it need to boil?" And I'm like, "Until it's done." And he goes, "Oh, I need to know a time." And I'm like, "I don't have a time. just when you look at it and it looks like it's done. So sometimes on stuff like this with chores, I am going to get back to our thing. Don't make it too difficult. Just start, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Just start.
Mm-hmm. That's good. And I think for going back to, if we're going to talk to colors, sometimes just starting is hard for greens.
Well, 100%.
And we can just twirl and be like, wait, there's too much to do. I can't do it. I don't know the process. How is this going to happen? And Mom will just be like, start in your kitchen.
Well, and it's hard for blues too, because they want the perfect system. They want their system to work and all that. But we all have to keep in mind, we're working with children.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can start a system and it may or may not work. The reds and the yellows are more instigators. They will start.
Yeah.
And even if it's not right, they'll be like, all right, well, that plan doesn't work, and they move on. But the greens and the blues contemplate a little bit longer and all that, which is not good or bad, neither one of them, any of them.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that is a tendency with the temperaments.
100%.
So if you don't know what I'm talking about with temperaments, y'all, you must be new to the podcast. So go back and look up temperaments, color tests, personalities, all that, and just fill your little mind with all the knowledge of the colors.
And if you are new, welcome and thank you so much for listening to Wire Talk. Whether you're listening on your favorite podcast platform or you found us on YouTube, we are so glad you're here. We love talking about practical things in motherhood and listening from Karen and listening to her amazing advice on how to do things from chores. Last week was prayer life, and next week is, do you remember what next week is?
I don't.
Okay, well, you know what? You'll have to tune in
Stay
until next week
tuned
to figure out what next week is about. So, but if you have any questions that you would like to be answered on Wire Talk, just send them to info@birdsonawire.moms.com, and we'll see you guys next week for the topic that's going to be a surprise for all of us. See you guys next week.